Hello and welcome to the channel. This is not the normal time for me to be going live, but I was, we just had Loki and I gotta talk about it. And so as usual, I brought over some of my favorite TikTok creators to get into the nitty gritty of what happened with this finale, what it might mean, what it means to us as fans, and it's gonna be a great time here on the high ground. All right. Hello. I am excited for us all to talk about this Loki finale because it gave me some feels. I imagine. I think she wants to sit behind me. All right, come on. I think. So yes, I have a dog sitting behind me. If anyone's wondering. But yeah, let's jump into it. I'm going to start by going around, have everyone introduce themselves and where we can find their content, and then I guess just overall thoughts, non-spoilerly on the episode. If you were like pro, anti, somewhere in the middle, and I'll go to Sawyer first.
Oh my gosh! Did you say introduce myself? Okay.
Yeah, introduce yourself and where we can find your content.
I'm Sawyerism or Sawyer. I'm mostly on TikTok. For Loki, as I've been on Twitter, pretty much live tweeting my anxiety for the past month or so. But yeah, I'm mostly a Star Wars creator. Who knows? Maybe we'll get into Marvel sometime. Because I did not think this show was going to have the impact it did on me. But yes.
Awesome.
I love it. And we have a Star Wars.
Yes. Yes, everyone. You can find me mainly on TikTok as well, doing mainly Star Wars content, but I also, of course, have Marvel, especially with the new shows and everything. My handle is the same as my name here. And yeah, I'm excited because just like Sawyer, this show has been impactful for sure. It's been very enlightening and everything. So yes, it's been great.
Awesome. I love it. So I mean, we can just kind of jump right into it. Let's kind of talk about how we led into this episode first. I want to get kind of the expectations and things, like, because episode 5 is my least favorite of all of them personally. Episode 5 felt like a fan service fest. Like it felt like what the commercials told us the show was going to be, and then the show ended up better than the commercials, but then they had to give us all the things. But what were you expecting? Well, also, I mean, can I just call you Tia?
Yeah, Tia. Yeah,
okay.
Of course.
Okay. What were you expecting coming into this episode?
Well, of course, I was expecting the reveal of who was behind everything. That was like the major thing. Everybody was talking about the person that, a variant of the person that appeared. I don't know if I should say the name or not, but I didn't think I honestly thought that it was gonna be more action because it's the last episode and it has to be some super grand, super packed, with action and stuff like we had with Wanda and with Captain America and Winter Soldier. And I was, when I first saw the episode, I was kind of underwhelmed, like, oh wait, that's what we're getting. But then once I started watching it again, and I was like, oh wait, this is way more deeper than just, oh, they're having a conversation. The episode is a conversation, and I was pleasantly surprised. It was very different from the other two shows, and I loved it. I ended up loving it.
Awesome. I love it. And then I also got let's see here. I always say Anna Brooker because I can't remember. This person's using their mom's YouTube account. But it was their favorite Disney Plus show so far. Serum Bar, we out here. Man, I got DePaul dropping love. He's just the best. You know, I always appreciate like his presence. And you were on Conspiracy
DePaul,
Cantina recently.
last week. Yeah.
Yeah, so if anyone doesn't know, there is another Star Wars podcast called Conspiracy Cantina. We have our Tia, who was there last week, and everyone should check that out too. Good times. But sorry, what were you expecting coming to the last episode?
Are we good for spoilers?
We're good for spoilers, but I want to start by just like.
I know, but like
But yeah, we're good. We're good.
Right. The reason I say that is because like I was expecting the show from the start of the show. I was expecting it to end with the multiverse opening up. So like that was. I was kind of surprised because a lot of people were telling me that they weren't sure that was going to happen, and from the get-go, I was like, "This is where it's going. This is what's going to happen in the finale," and it did. And I also was very much expecting Kang. I didn't know very much about his character. I didn't know that he had a lot of variants, and so that was really interesting to me. But yeah, I mean, I was expecting them to find him and open the multiverse in some way, and I was. Other than that, I kind of didn't. I was just spending a week on Twitter talking about how much I didn't want bad things to happen to them that I stopped theorizing at that point. Except for the fact that I was like, something's bad is gonna happen. What is gonna happen? Is she gonna kill him? Like, what is he gonna die? Is he gonna betray her? Like, that was me up until 3 a.m. on Wednesday. And as Levi so kindly pointed out on Twitter, I was the whole day before going, all right, guys, stress poop number 1, stress poop number 2, stress poop number 3. I don't care. That's what I did on Twitter all day on Tuesday. So, yeah.
Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. We also have DePaul saying hey, Tia, as well as X-Core Gamer Skills, the two hosts of Conspiracy
What's up,
Cantina.
guys?
Yes.
It's awesome you're here.
Brian with the beard just wanted the kissy kiss. We'll certainly get into that. Because I'm curious. All right, well, let's just jump into it. We start with them in the. Now I can't even remember the order that things happen, but let's just dive in. We get the reveal of the one who is left. What did they call him?
The
one who remains.
The one who remains.
He who remains.
He who remains.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yes. Jonathan Majors reveal. I'm curious what you guys thought because I didn't know what to expect. By the way, I was super wrong. The past 2 shows were like, you know what? Yes, this could introduce things for the future, but we're going to be self-contained. And, Falcon Winter Soldier did the same thing. So this one I was like, you know what? It'll probably be a Loki variant so that the show is self-contained. They're not going to introduce a new character. I was wrong. They did. But he killed it in the role, in my opinion. I enjoyed it. What did you think, Sora?
So I'm not familiar with Jonathan Majors' work, but I've come to expect that Marvel does a pretty good job with their casting. And the only interpretation that I had of Kang up until now was Lego Marvel Superheroes 2, because he's the bad guy. So that's literally all I knew about Kang. And just right off the bat, I was like, this is what MCU needs, because Thanos is iconic. Thanos is one of my favorite Marvel characters, and he is the big bad. He is the Infinity War, but he's a giant purple monster. And there's something much more terrifying about a normal guy who's absolutely insane. So, and just watching him and the nuance that he added to this very mysterious character, and just every little action, every little phrasing, it's just, it was, yes, this was a nicer variant of what we're actually gonna get, but even that was so
Perhaps.
terrifying. Perhaps, but it was just such a great, like, obviously he wasn't scary in this episode, but it was just giving us a little taste of what we are going to get. And I'm just like, this is exactly what the MCU needs. A guy who looks normal, who appears, you know, just like any one of us, but is like really bad news. I saw some people were upset that he wasn't blue, but he still could be. Like, I don't know. I loved
You get
him.
there.
Mhm.
I loved him.
Yeah, and I got Malik. I'm gonna assume it's Malik, but in the Star Wars fandom, you could be a variant of Malik. We don't know yet, but so Kang in different properties. Iron Lad was in Armor Wars, Ramatut in Moon Knight, and regular Kang in Quantum Mania. It's entirely possible. You know, we don't know. I mean, I would love if the boy from Iron Man 3 ends up being Iron Lad. But then again, he would have to like turn black at some point. But you know, we don't know. It's different. There's different universes. You could just have a different parent or whatever. Black people can have white people in their history as well as vice versa. I'm actually related to President Garfield. Don't tell that to most people, but because he was president for yeah. Anyways, he wasn't the best. But yeah, what did you think? What did you think, Tia?
No. I feel the same as Sawyer. It was just I also didn't know much about the character. I just heard him from before a while ago. And then when people started with the, you know, of course the theories and the videos and everything, that's when I started, you know, finding out a little bit more about him. But and Jonathan Myers, I also haven't seen his work like that. But the way and I'm hoping that people are happy with how he portrayed it, because the way he did it was amazing. I love the mannerisms, the comic is mixed in with the mystery of you know, of what he's doing and everything, and I absolutely loved it, and I'm so excited to see how the range that he's gonna have if he's playing, you know, different variants of himself in the other movies and stuff. So I'm definitely excited for that. Yeah.
Yeah. So personally, I'm a huge fan of the show Orphan Black, and seeing one person play a bunch of multiples of themselves very differently is just like fascinating.
Mhm.
And I think Jonathan Majors has the range to do it. But yeah, this version was just like highly intelligent and just like kind of had that insane curiosity that comes from like, I know too much, and like and he's like, and I've been doing this for, I mean, essentially an eternity, but not really at the same time.
Mhm.
And given the parameters, it doesn't matter what I do, because if you kill me, there's just going to be another me. If you kill me now, then I will never have done this, which means another me will have done this, and then I will be back. And you know,
It's a
and
crazy loop. Yeah.
I love time travel stuff, and I just thought that loop was fascinating. I mean, what did you think of it, Tia?
No. It's definitely, I love time travel stuff too, which that's why like Doctor Who's like one of my favorite shows and stuff. But it's just, and it's gonna be insane how they're going to explain that loop, because it's like, oh, I'm gonna see you soon. I'm like, oh shoot, so he really is gonna come back as himself to that exact same point and as the same person, or
Yeah,
he might, you know. So it's just I'm waiting for that explanation, because you know how everybody, a lot of the shows, they have their own way of doing time travel and time, you know, time stuff. So I want to see how they're gonna take it further now, for sure. Yeah.
yes, and I'm also sorry, you guys. This is well, not really last minute. I'm gonna have Brooke join us here, be Dazzler. Um, she's also been covering Loki. I was trying to get her on for last week, and then it just didn't happen for me because my schedule just fell off a cliff, and so that's why I don't even have an episode for last week. So, thank you for joining. Just if you don't mind jumping straight into it. Well, actually, no. I'll do Sawyer first to give you a chance to think. But yeah, what did you think of meeting the man behind it all? I keep forgetting his name because my mind says the one above all, which is Marvel, and then it goes to the man in the Iron Mask, which is Leonardo DiCaprio. I just I keep forgetting the name, but yeah. What did you think of Jonathan Majors when he popped out?
Well, like I said before, I mean, I just think it was such a iconic entrance for the character, but um, and more notably, I guess, his words being translated. See you soon. 5 seconds later, his statue is in whatever version of the TVA that Loki is in. It's like, oh, there he is. All right. This is getting, like, I just, I don't know. I loved it.
Yeah, so did I.
Because I think a lot of us were, wary of Marvel moving into, well, I mean, we had Daredevil and all that stuff that is no longer part of the MCU, but I think we were wary of these shows coming out and seeing, okay, they pulled off Endgame and Infinity War. What's next? And even though we had Kang announced for Quantumania, and we had all these bits and pieces that were starting to look like a multiverse, I think we were all like, how's this going to work? And I don't think we're certainly not at a point where we should be doubting the MCU, because Infinity War and what they did, you can't sit here and say it wasn't amazing and impressive, but I mean, I think we were all, especially because WandaVision and Captain America and the Winter Soldier were, their own stories, and they didn't branch off the way that Loki did. I think we didn't know what to expect, and I couldn't be happier. I don't know.
Yeah. Brian with the beard says, "He who takes 3 stress poops before the finale." So, Brooke, all right. Just to catch up, what were you expecting coming into this final episode, and what did you think of the reveal when we got to meet He Who Remains?
Can you hear me? Okay, I was having technical difficulties with my internet.
Yeah, and we can hear you.
Cool. I didn't know really what to expect. I wanted it to be like a cool big bad, because we haven't seen that really yet in the Disney Plus shows, because I feel like Sawyer said, they've kind of been isolated in their own like bubble, and I was hoping more for Loki to branch out, I guess, no pun intended, into like more of Phase 4. So, but then the more I thought about it, I was like, oh, well, thematically, it kind of makes sense that maybe there is a Loki variant that's behind everything, and I would be okay with that too, because it's really about Loki's character, and he deserves a story like this. But I was very satisfied. I was like, oh my gosh, when the elevator doors opened up, I was very excited. And I think it was introduced in like the best possible way. Because they had introduced like all of these new Marvel projects, and I was like, cool, like Ant-Man and the Wasp, all right, that's great, but like I don't understand how he's gonna really fit into the story, because I don't know really anything about Kang. So the fact that they brought in like a variant version of him, I thought was like kind of genius to introduce the multiverse. I really liked it.
Agreed. I mean, Malik also brings this out, the same exact thing, that what we got was a lot closer to Immortus, who's the same person, but a variant who has the same role and was wearing those clothes. So yeah, it was really cool. I still maintain, to kind of answer Sawyer, that Doctor Doom is the villain that we need. I need us to get to Doctor Doom. He's my favorite Marvel character of all time. There's a Doom in my car that I may or may not talk to on a regular basis. Anyways, no, but also I want this to continue very conversationally. So like, that's why I didn't send you guys anything beforehand. I'm not going to have a bunch of prompts. I just want us to get into the nitty gritty and talk about it. I know all of us are in the Star Wars fandom, so something I have to ask: just hear you guys' stuff, and then we can start with Sawyer on this one. But everyone, feel free to jump in. My thought was that is that Silky's and Raylo's is almost a circle if you look at a Venn diagram. Almost, not quite, but almost.
You would be correct.
I'm curious what you guys think.
You would be correct. If you don't follow me on Twitter, this is what I've been talking about for the past 4 weeks. But I've got like side by side images, like even down to the lighting in some of these scenes is identical to things that happen in The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. There's absolutely no way that the director was not a fan of the sequels. She had to be, like, and the writers too. Like, you've got this unlikely pair. They are, on completely two different journeys that are actually very similar, but they don't realize it. And they are confronting this big bad, but they also have an emotional connection. But then they find the big bad, they kill the big bad, but the big bad is a ruse. It's not the real enemy. And it's the same. Brooke, talk.
I did make like a 3-minute video about this last week because I thought about it too long. And like I feel like as a Raylo, I've been like prepared for this, and I'm like giving all of the new like Silky's hugs. I'm like, it's gonna be okay. Anyway, I agree. I think there's a lot of parallels. It does like differentiate in a lot of ways too, but I just immediately saw it, especially in episode 4. I was like, that's the throne room scene. You're not slick. Rian Johnson, is that you? But I thought about it too long and I was like, wait, but it actually is like the same kind of trope. And more so than that, I feel like Loki and Ben Solo almost follow a similar path, more so than Sylvie and Rey. But I still made the parallels. So I said in my video that you have on one side, you have a character that was born to this prestigious family, but they've always felt kind of like the black sheep. They feel outcast. They don't really know why. And it turns out that, Ben has that pull to the dark side and being manipulated by Snoke. And it turns out that Loki was adopted, but really was also taken from his, real family for personal gain of his adoptive father. So that like betrayal that they feel, whether it's true betrayal or not, exists in them, which kind of turns them down their dark path. And they go searching for something that they believe that like the universe owes them something for their hardships that they've had to face. And then on the other side, you have a character who has seemingly was born into like a very loving family, who was ripped away from that family way too early, and they had to learn to kind of survive and grow up alone. I think it diverts a little because Rey isn't, she's not motivated by revenge like Sylvie is, but I also get the sense that while Sylvie has been working on this master plan for a long time, I think that it didn't like turn into that for a long time. I feel like she spent most of her like adolescent years just trying to like grow up and survive away from the TVA. So there's lots of parallels with just like their characters. Yeah. And then because of that, they have that same kind of like shared trauma. Like we're the same, but we're not the same, but we are at the same time. And I just like that whether you like that it's a romantic thing or not, they still have such like a deep connection that goes like just beyond a normal relationship. Like it's a much deeper bond, which I like really appreciate. Whether or not you want to like view it as romantic, or even if it was platonic, I think it would still be that deeper bond that like the dyad of Star Wars has. I don't know. I just really like both of them because of that like emotional connection a lot.
Yeah. Your thoughts on it, Tia?
No, I was gonna say agree of course with all of you guys, and then just with Ray and Sylvie, just what oh my god, my head just went blank. Sorry. Dude, Brody was saying that that sorry guys, I'm having a
Oh
brain fart.
no, you're
No, I
perfectly
got it.
fine.
Okay. All right. So that Ray and Sylvie, they both grew up basically, the similarity is that they both grew up trying to survive. The only difference was that it was for different reasons. Ray was trying to survive because she wanted to, keep that hope of finding her family, her parents coming back. And then Sylvie, was surviving because she needed to go get revenge on whoever took her family away from her. And then we have Ben Solo and, Loki, and both of them are going after, the girl, trying to have them join him, so they could do stuff together. So that's the similarity right there with them too. So and then the people that are like the Sylvie Loki shippers are having a hard time right now, I guess, because a lot of people do not agree with it. And I know that a lot of people did not agree also with like the Ray, Ben shipping and stuff. So now the fans have that similarity as well.
It's a weird thing to be so against though, because like in the worst case scenario, it's masturbation. So
I literally
well, yeah.
don't even like. I think Brooke and I both we've like had private conversations about this. We're very passionate about this issue. We're both Raylos. We've both been through the ringer, both in the emotional, like the show way, and the response from fans way. So like Brooke said, it's like people who aren't coming from the Raylo universe are they don't know what to do. They're like, oh my god, there's so much hate, and I'm just trying to enjoy something, and these people are sending me death threats. What do I do? And so we're stepping in, and we're like, come here, we got you. We've been doing this for 5 years.
I'll just picture all the Raylos right in, like the Terminator, like, come with me if you want to enjoy this. Like, we've been fighting this war for thousands of years.
After the premiere of the final episode, there was this one girl. I'm in a Silky server. Let me know if you want in, Brooke.
Send me that link.
I am in a Silky Discord server, and there was this one girl, and she was so devastated because she was, everyone in the server was like, oh, if they kiss, it's canon. Like, even though the writer and everybody had already said like, oh yeah, this is like a romantic thing that's going on, everyone in the server was like, if they kiss, it's canon. And they obviously do. And this one person was like, oh my god, I don't know what to do. I don't know how to deal with this pain. I don't know if I should believe these people who are harassing me, telling me that, it was all betrayal and she was just manipulating him and that was never a two-way street and blah, 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 blah. Like, I'm genuinely believing that I'm wrong and I don't know, I'm not supposed to feel happy about this. Like, and I was just like, oh my god, like, is there anything I can do? Because I've been there. I've done this before. And unfortunately, they're just relentless. They've already gone after the writer of the final episode. Someone on Tumblr was like, we're going to go to Tom's house in London and berate him for being in the show. Yeah. And it's
was just a show.
I saw the video. I was like, oh my god. Like, they really have the whole, who wants to join us? Who wants to come? I'm like,
I don't think it happened. And at the end of
I feel like quarantine has made us all stranger. And I think there's good and bads to that. And also, I just want to shout out Miss Aggie, one of my favorite peoples. She loves.
I love you so much. I love you so much, Miss Aggie.
I love you, Miss Aggie.
Follow Miss Aggie, Marilu. She's the best. Geeky Gambit says Silky literally just makes sense. Anyone who says otherwise doesn't understand Loki as a character, and that's okay too. But don't make a big deal out of it if it's both their characters, like it or not.
I mean, honestly, when it comes to Loki, I mean, is it really the weirdest thing that you could think of Loki doing? I mean, he made it with a freaking horse. Like if we go to Norse mythology, he gave birth to a horse. He gave birth to a serpent. Loki's weird. He's just weird. So is it
Yeah.
him in love with himself? Come on now.
Like,
I mean,
you know, and I mean, yeah, but and luckily most of the hate comes from teenagers. But what I'm worried to there's two. I don't. Can I speak on this? Do you mind? Like, can I go off the path, my tangent on this, or do you?
Oh
want me
yeah,
to-
there is no path. Where
Well,
we're going, we don't
I
need
know.
roads.
But anyway,
I have the power to mute you if you go too far. I'm kidding. Please.
Anyway, no, I mean, I think that what's unsettling to me, two things are very unsettling to me about this whole argument is, number one, the fact that there are so many similarities to Raylo, and so many Raylos are in, like, now Silkies, and we've experienced this before, but most of the people who are Raylos are, you know, Brooke and I's age. We're not, I mean, we're not the same age, but we're close enough in age that we grew up with Raylo getting more and more canon. Like, that is, we've been doing this for a long time. Everyone who ships Raylo now, not everyone, but a large majority of us are adults, real adults with jobs who are now turning this on its head, and all of the antis who grew up with us are now attacking children watching Loki. It's really messed up. And I don't care. You don't have to ship it. It's fine. No one has ever said that you had to, but it's so sad. I get the teenagers, they're kids. They'll do what kids do. But the fact that I've seen people our age doing it is really disappointing. And I've even seen people on TikTok, on Tumblr, who have bragged about their involvement with harassing Raylos and are now making content being like, ha ha ha, I get to do it again. I get to make fun of Silkies. And it's just like, you're literally 28 years old. What? Stop. And then the other point that I just want to bring up is, like, there is an aspect in Raylo that is not there, is the fact that these characters are part of the LGBTQ community. And what I've seen, and I'm saying this, I should preface, as a bisexual woman, I've seen a lot of people and I've heard a lot of people tell me that because I ship this pairing, I'm not gay. I can't identify that way. And I am just, that is not something we got in Raylo. And it's there's a reason that I've only posted content on Twitter about Loki. And it's because of that. So
people shouldn't be dicks.
yes.
No, definitely not. Of course not.
Yeah.
And you know, like, it just, to me, it comes off as people who also, like, come against people that, you know, have their gay relationship headcanons, like in Star Wars when we ship, you know, two guys, two girls, whatever, and then they're like, oh my God, that's disgusting. Why would you do that? You know, so if we don't, you know, and because I've seen a lot of people that are for, you know, are okay, you know, they make their own queer relationship headcanons, being nasty about the whole, you know, Sylvie Loki relationship thing. I'm like, why would you do that if you know how it feels when people come against you for what you like to ship? You know, like, I don't think that's right.
So the whole thing kind of reminds me of the monkey experiment. Now I'm trying to remember how it went. You know, like, there was like they put a bunch of monkeys in a cage and then they put something up high, but then they essentially trained, you know, something up high, and every time a monkey would climb up high, then they would like hose down the whole cage and like rile up everyone, all the other monkeys. So eventually, if you tried to climb up, you know, one of them would like grab and they would stop you, and then they stopped doing that. But all of the monkeys, like, even as they swapped them out and stuff like that, would just prevent anyone from going up there because they were trained to do it. I feel like it's kind of the same thing where, like, you'll have people that will make, you know, gay headcanons for characters, mostly because I could be wrong. I find the vast majority is because they severely underdevelop women, and so the only people with any sort of character development are the men. And so if you are someone that is shipping someone based off of their character, then you only have men, um and so that's why they're shipping. And then but I feel like the next wave that comes up is just like, no, it's only gay ships, that's all we care about. And it becomes not about the characters but about the outside perception, and then it kind of like persists. I don't know, there's certain weird things that can potentially
Yeah,
come.
well, for me, here's how I thought about it, because I don't want to be like insensitive to the people who feel let down by how the show turned out, or how the lack of the like exploration of that side of Loki, because I know a lot of people were very excited that he was labeled as gender fluid, and that he came out as bisexual, like in canon. And I totally understand how you can criticize the writers for thinking, okay, well, if Sylvie had been a male variant of Loki on this journey, there wouldn't have been any romance involved, because that's just what these studios do. That's a totally valid criticism. There are completely valid criticisms of the show itself. And I'm all for that. I want to validate everyone's feelings in that. But I do think that I've seen, like Sawyer was talking about, it's a lot of like teenage girls, or a lot of teenagers that are very vocal about either their, mischaracterization of Loki, which is making them really mad, or their headcanons not fitting their expectations. And there's also the issue of a lot of like the over fetishization, I can't speak today, of male relationships.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say men with dark long hair.
I mean, that's a whole different conversation we could get into, but
Yeah.
it is like, it can be a problem to the point where it is like uncomfortable. And I also recognize that a lot of people who feel underrepresented ship all of these queer characters because we don't ever get these queer relationships like we should. So I just want to like put that out there, that all of those feelings and frustrations and anger are valid, and I never want to tone police anyone. I just have a problem with invalidating others because of how you feel, because biphobia is like a real thing, especially when it comes to a lot of bisexual women who are usually only in like heteronormative relationships with men, or have only been in relationships with men, or maybe they're got married to a man, or they're with someone who they have decided they want to be with forever, and then realize that they're bisexual. Does that make them any less bisexual if they've never had a relationship with a woman or anything like that? No. And I think I want to say that there's like a small minority of people that are doing that. They just seem to be the loudest. And I also have a problem with harassing the creators of the show and harassing Tom Hiddleston. Like, he was an executive producer on this, but did he really have like the final say in everything? No. Like, can we just not do that?
You just don't harass anybody because of a show, like, period. Like, you don't do that. Especially because that's always like one of the issues that I have with a lot of people, that they create, like you were saying, Brooke, that head canon, that scenario in their head, and then when people don't get what they want, they make it such a big issue, and that's it. It's a bad thing. It's a bad show. All of these people did wrong, and why? But you're not the writer. Obviously, they have a plan. It's not. We could imagine any type of scenarios that we want.
Yeah.
But just
I think it's like totally valid to want to demand more from the creators and these studios for getting this representation that people want. But that's like a different thing than harassing them over it or not being it. And sure, if you do not enjoy the show anymore, you did not like it because of those reasons, then just you can
Don't watch
totally,
it. It's so easy.
totally okay to criticize it, but just don't like leave the people alone who are willing to like that want to talk about it or want to talk about what they like about it. And I have seen people that are like just writing the entire show off or writing the entire finale off for being terrible because they kissed when Jonathan Majors came in and literally stole the entire show, was fantastic, and like you can't say one good thing about that just because this thing happened. Right. And it's like, I don't know. There's a very fine line, and I think because of this the introduction of this like LGBT conversation that wasn't very present in Raylo because it was a different dynamic. I feel like it's a little harder line to tread on, but I just like want everyone's feelings to be validated.
No,
being harassed over
course.
it, you know?
Yeah.
No, I definitely feel that. And like the thing that really kind of bothers me the most, so, and because this is it's very prevalent in the Star Wars community, it has been for a few years, is being mad that your own personal headcanon didn't happen on screen. That's dumb. I'm sorry. that's dumb. But what's more than that is I feel like people's, because of the political situation in the United States over the past year, certain things are looked at differently or scrutinized more. And I have people, when I make, because none of my content is political in nature at all. Actually, I don't think any of these issues are political in nature at all. But that's a whole another side topic. But I hear people say, I hate this because it's a slippery slope. And then the next thing you know, everyone's gay. And you're like,
right.
So what?
What? Oh.
What about it?
I mean, oh, big bad gay. Oh my God. It's like,
actually, I was going to make a video saying that I think the thing I always get hate for saying is I think the most alpha thing a man could do is be gay. 100% believe that. Whenever you see people like guys trying to be alpha males, it's always a bunch of guys with their shirts off and they're like wrestling and stuff, and you're like, do you not see? Anyways.
But isn't that what the whole thing with like Thor and Loki, like Thor being more attractive towards the male gaze and then Loki being more attractive towards the female gaze?
Yeah. When I started powerlifting, I thought I'd get a lot more girls, and then like I got a lot of guys. They were cool guys. But yeah, no. Roger says, "What about the Miss Minutes jump scare? Because that scared the crap out of me. I was not expecting."
I tweeted about this last night. I was like, I fully believe now that Multiverse of Madness is a horror movie, because if that orange bitch can scare the crap out of me. I don't even want to think about what Doctor Strange 2 is gonna do.
I read that today, that supposedly they're trying to say that Doctor Strange is gonna be like basically a scary ass movie. Like it's gonna be scary. I believe it because Mr. He who the last, what's his name? He Who Remains or whatever. Just the way he was acting like such a creepy, scary, awesome guy, That's how. And then you saw the entrance when they first went into the castle. It was so spooky and dark and mysterious. I'm like, dude, this is okay. This is scary. I've never seen that in Marvel before, So it was cool.
I saw people who were like, well, Kang isn't supposed to be scary. Since when has the MCU been?
He's not friendly. God damn it! Right. I don't know what to tell you.
Also, since when has the MCU been perfectly comic accurate? It hasn't. It has never professed to be. I personally think it's really great that they've taken some of the best storylines from the comics and made them accessible for people who do not read comics. Of course, it's not going to be the same thing. But I mean, yeah, like Thanos, again, going back to like my thoughts of Thanos is not scary. He's iconic but I want a scary Marvel villain. I want a Marchion Rowe in Marvel, in the MCU. I want someone who is
That's what
very
Doctor Doom is.
okay, but
Sorry,
he's
sorry,
not
I
there
got it.
yet.
But I know I agree because like with Thanos, we expect it to be a big bad because he has powers and he's from this other planet and he's a Titan and stuff. So it's expected of him. But for Kong or whatever the variant, this person, like I said, he's a normal person from Earth. And to think that this such a person like you and me could go and create something so crazy and big and he could make himself that big, basically a god, when he was just a simple person before, that's freaking scary.
And for him to be
that's
so
what I've been
nonchalant about
saying.
it.
Oh, go ahead.
What?
I was just gonna say, for him to be so nonchalant about it, the way he like tells his little story.
He's like,
well, there were so many of us, and we were working together, and it was so magical. And then this happened, and I did what I had to do to save. Like, it's so good.
Those are my
So
favorite
scary.
kind of villains. Like, I don't want the big scary ones. I want the like normal ones. I think that's why I love Giancarlo Esposito so much. I was thinking about him because that's like a big fan cast for Doctor Doom. I don't know how we feel about that, but like him in Breaking Bad is not like, he's not very menacing like looking of a guy, and then you see what he does in the show and
he's
you're
a
like, wow.
mastermind.
Yeah. And even as oh my god, what's his name? Moff Gideon. It's kind of the same way. He's not like, I'm big and tough, I'm gonna like beat the crap out of you kind of guy. He's like very like cool and calculated, very like Thrawny, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it reminds me of the movie Unbreakable. Samuel Jackson as Mr. Glass, and he tells us there's two types of villains. There's the ones that fight the hero physically. There's those types of villains. That's what Thanos is. He's not scary. He's imposing. He's commanding. He's powerful. You know what I mean? He wields all of this stuff,
powerful,
but he's not scary. But then there's the mastermind, the person that fights the heroes with his mind, and that person is truly scary. I hope that, again, I'm always going to hope that we get to Doctor Doom, but I would love it if we come from this cosmic, powerful being is the villain, and then I'm sure she'll be back. Her link is still good. But I hope we get to Kang being like the next tier down, where he is quite powerful, was a regular human from the future who's coming with all this technology and all this stuff, and then I hope beneath that we get Doctor Doom, is a regular human that grew up at the same time as all these other humans, and he's got sorcery almost on par with Doctor Strange, and tech almost on par with Iron Man. And like he is, and everyone is peasants beneath him.
Sorry, I don't know, cut off. Oh, I was gonna ask, so is Palpatine both the villains? Because he was like super mastermind and he was also, physically powerful.
I would say no. I mean, because as you're watching, so back in the day, we only had the physically imposing, and they, we hadn't gotten the masterminds on screen yet, or they were even ignored. So like original trilogy, we had Vader. He was the physical threat. He was the antagonist, not Palpatine. Even though Palpatine was a big bad. Prequels come, we get Maul. But yeah, I'm curious about the rest of the episode, because we got stuff with Mobius coming in and having that confrontation with Ravonna and going to her school where she's principal.
Was a teacher.
What would you guys think about that?
No, I love that. I see, that's what we think. Like, I love that Mobius, as much as he was like such a badass, TVA agent, he's also so smart and such a good person at the same time. So that character, like, He was such a. I loved him so much for that, and he was willing, to be open minded, and um, I'm always gonna hope that in season 2 we get him his jet ski finally. So I'm
If we
hoping.
don't get that concluded, I'm gonna be so disappointed. And also, because his timeline also had all these weird '90s things that were just discontinued.
You're right. Yes.
Yeah, I
Uh,
really
oh,
liked his character. I thought he was kind of like a good like foil for Loki almost, because Loki is, you can't trust him and he doesn't trust anyone. And then you see Mobius, who just is so trusting. He trusts that Loki is going to do the right thing. He trusts that the TVA is like doing the right thing. He trusts Ravonna. And so to see their kind of interactions and have them learn a lot from each other, I'm really glad that, I know a lot of people are focusing on his relationship with Sylvie. But I do like that they did put an emphasis on his friendship with Mobius, because he's never really had a friend before. So, and even Tom Hiddleston said like that line where he said, thank you, my friend, or whatever he says is like his favorite line in the show. It was so powerful because we've never heard Loki say that before, or even like seen him act that way towards even like his own brother. He doesn't, like, he was never that emotionally connected to, which I really liked.
yeah, it's kind of like, because with Mobius, um, with everyone that Loki has encountered, there's this weird power dynamic of like who is where in the pecking order. And then he runs into Mobius, and like his time at the TVA broke him because Infinity Stones were paperweights. And this guy, he's like, yeah, I mean, I've caught tons of you. I mean, like this is nothing new. And so Loki finally entered a place where he couldn't place himself above or beneath this person. There was just another person, was forced to look at him on an even level. Plus, I also love, I mean, Owen Wilson does a great job of this, of playing the character who is, highly intelligent, but still
Humble.
talks like a regular person, and humbled. So you get Loki going off on these Shakespearean rants, and then have the straight man be like, well, that's cool. Anyways.
Anyways.
All right.
Yeah.
I can honestly say that I was like, maybe I shouldn't have, like, I was never expecting in my life for me to be like, wow, Owen Wilson is phenomenal. And that's not to say that Owen Wilson is not an iconic actor, because he is, but when I think of Owen Wilson,
Shanghai Nights. Okay, no, go ahead.
Lightning McQueen, but no, I mean, like, when I think of Owen Wilson, I don't think like outstanding award-winning actor. He plays iconic roles that I don't usually go, oh my god, he's so good. Oh my god, he's so good in this show. And I love Mobius, and I love that they emphasize his relationship with Loki so much. I'm so glad that he, I kind of figured, okay, they're gonna find Mobius if pruning isn't really killing, they're gonna find him. But I am so excited to see more of him, whether that be this new Mobius, or we go back to our
That's such a
our
gut punch.
MCU Mobius.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I don't know if we're all in agreement, but I'm pretty sure the Mobius at the end is not the same Mobius.
No, because we saw the original Mobius with B-15
Right.
in the
This
room.
is, I'm
doing
not
their own
sure.
thing. Yeah.
This is what I'm. So, time is a flat circle, and so, but the TVA is like supposedly outside of time, but it's still affected by the timeline because of Kang, because he's in control of it. And so he said in the episode, like, strike me down and I'll just become more powerful, literally. And I think maybe like it's just a one big loop, that like this multiversal war has already happened and now it's happening again because of the same string of events, because someone found him and killed him, and then he's like, well, I'm just going to come back, and another one of me is just going to make the TVA again. So I feel like I don't know if it's like a variant of sorts, you know, or if it's just like, oh, we're resetting this timeline kind of thing.
No, it's crazy because it could be fourth dimensional where it's on a single timeline. It could be fifth dimensional where it's a branch of that timeline, or sixth dimensional where it's an adjacent timeline taking over. Now, in the intro, the in this was a very unique intro to the episode, and we hear a bunch of lines and music and musical cues and things that happen within the Marvel Cinematic Universe that we've watched on TV.
Mm-hmm.
Wait a second. I may have come up with something. Anyways, the Marvel Cinematic Universe that we've seen, on the films, as well as some quotes from just people in regular life.
In the real world. Does that mean we're part of the MCU now too? Like we're the real world?
It's canon. It's canon.
Yeah.
We're all characters.
Yes, we are. I love how they did that too.
But in the intro, it zooms out and it shows that was as if being part of a black hole. And then it pans to another one and zooms in on that. And then that's where the show starts. So is this whole show taking place somewhere else? Is, like, I don't know. There's a lot of weird possible. Maybe this is the universe that has now become the Prime universe. I don't know. I think there's a lot of possibilities. I'm curious what you guys thought of this line, though. You can't trust anyone, and I can't be trusted.
No comment.
When I tell you, that whole scene just broke me, and I keep.
That was one of the
about
best
it.
fight scenes of all time because of the acting, the fighting, the emotion.
The emotion, yes.
Like, it wasn't until the Last Jedi throne scene that I've seen actors emoting on their face while they're fighting. It's the first time I've ever seen it. This took that to a whole new level. But sorry, keep going, Brooke.
Oh, no, it really broke me because we've seen Loki grow throughout this whole show, and like he just has found this person that he cares about so much that he's like, it reminded me a lot of Ben Solo. It was like, I don't care what happens to myself. I just want you to be okay. And that line broke me too. And it just made me happy and sad because I'm like, look how far this character has come. And he also, like, he's so much more emotionally mature than he ever has been, because he even tells Sylvie, like, I recognize that we're not in the same place emotionally right now, but I've been where you are, so I understand that you're feeling this way. Which is why I know how hurt he feels, because now he finally feels the hurt that he's given to everyone else. But I also know that he will immediately forgive her when she inevitably comes back to find him.
He understands.
He has already forgiven her for that.
I believe he forgives her when,
he doesn't blame her at all. I don't think he understands. He's like, I know.
And that's why I have such an issue with, because like, and yeah, it is a large part of like the anti-movement, but there are quite a few people who are like, Sylvie's the new villain. No, that is not what's happening. No. She's the villain. She broke down and cried because she lost. She knew, like, I think in that moment, they both kind of knew that they weren't going to get what they both needed out of the situation, but they, too bad, like, they just, but she's not, she had no interest in taking over the TVA, taking over Kang's role. Like, she, they will, in whatever capacity it is, they will find each other. And she's not a villain. She, the difference, I think, the one difference between her and Loki from the MCU is that, like, all the pain she caused was to serve one singular purpose, and that purpose is over. Yes, glorious purpose, but her purpose is not ruling. She's not going to move on to another thing where she's in charge, where she's ruling something. She's done with her thing, and she's living with the consequences. So she's not going to be a villain, Like, in fact, I would even go as far as to predict that they will reunite sooner in the second season than later.
I totally agree, and I do have been seeing a lot of people like with this one-dimensional view of her character and saying like, oh well, she didn't get any character development. She's been the same way the whole time. Like, I very much disagree from that. I think especially in the last 2 episodes, especially in episode 5, we saw like a lot of change in her. And it makes sense that like all of her actions so far have made sense to me because she's grown up alone. She's grown up in these apocalypses. She's grown up without anyone, like probably with her, one eye like behind her shoulder the entire time because at any moment the TVA could come find her.
Mhm.
Obviously, she's not going to be very trusting, especially of another Loki. Like, why would she ever have any like trust in someone like that? And I think by the end, I think she sees the change in Loki and sees that how much he cares for her. And I also feel like she probably feels like she doesn't deserve that love right now. And she could have very easily, instead of like pushing him out and like protecting him, that's how I saw it. She could have very easily just taken her sword and stabbed him if she needed to get him out of the picture to finish her mission.
Mhm.
But she didn't do that. And yeah, I just don't like how everyone's saying, not everyone, but a lot of people have been saying it's like one-sided because there was real emotion on her face. I don't think she was faking it. Like, she was crying. They were kissing and then she was crying again. You could like see, I've like watched this so many times, I feel like in the last 24 hours. You can see like the very moment that she realizes what she has to do, and like she has dread on her face for like needing to like kick him and push him back out into the TVA. And then at the end she like falls to the floor crying because she didn't get the satisfaction that she wanted out of her glorious purpose. And she learned the hard way.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's right.
To say it's completely one-sided, did she do some stuff that maybe was selfish for her own gain? Sure. I'm not gonna like say that she is completely innocent, but it doesn't seem like she wanted to do it. It was just what she thought she had to do in the moment. And Loki's going to be okay with it. And that's it.
Because he's done the same thing. Like, he basically has done the same thing. You know, pre-TVA or whatever. He understands that. So he's not gonna be mad at her. And I think Sylvie, like what you were saying, Brooke, that a lot of people saying that she there was no character development or whatever. When she first started, she was a very, she seemed cold. She had a mission, that's it, nothing else. There's no doubt about what she has to do, nothing. Here we get her pausing, that thinking like, wait, let me hear what he has to say, like if that would have been Loki from the first episode or the second episode, there would have been no question. Yo, listen, bye, stab, I gotta go kill this dude, that's it. That's my whole thing. I don't care about your emotions, your feelings, your crying, what you feel about me, nothing. We don't get to Sylvie that,
And like the argument, like I'm sorry, but like the argument that she kissed him to manipulate him, I don't believe that, because like just like
no, she was feeling it.
She had a sword. She could have killed him if that was her. If she felt nothing for him, she would have just been like, bye.
Yeah.
In my eyes, that was a way of saying like, I trust you, I do, but I just cannot remove myself from this. And so this is like, I love you, goodbye. We'll see each other again. I'm not killing you.
I love you, but so my purpose is bigger than my love for you. Like, we see that a lot in a lot of things. Like, my purpose is bigger than my love for you, even though I do love you,
And I'm also kind of sad. I don't have, there's so many people I wish I could have on all the time for everything that we talk about. But like Masagi brings up, that same moment while they're fighting, she's like, well, then just kill me. And Loki says, no.
And I'm thinking about, I will never stop thinking about the way that he said no.
He can't.
Not only that.
Yeah.
When he
he dropped his sword and he blocked it with his neck, with his throat. Like,
He trusted her that much.
And she pulled back. That tells you that there was something mutual there, because something stopped her. The sword was on his neck. He blocked it with his neck. You know?
She could have just kept. All she needed to do was push a little bit more. That's it.
And it's there are a lot of people who are very sad right now. Mostly people who have not done the Raylo thing, and it's in a different way than we were talking about earlier. It's like, you're okay. This is not the end of the road. Like, you'll be fine.
So I just love Aggie. I wish she was here.
Ariel is the love of my life. She just doesn't know it yet.
I keep seeing these tweets that are like, Tom Hiddleston was written by a woman, and I couldn't agree more.
Tom Hiddleston.
I mean, hello. The hair flip is always. It's such a fan service for us. Every time he does this.
Yeah.
I love it. Oh man. And people, like I said, like Brooke said, I don't want to invalidate anybody's opinion and how they feel, what they wanted out of this and everything. But I don't know how some people can fail to see what was there between them two, you know? It was
even
okay. Well, in defense of those people, myself, probably 4 years ago, probably wouldn't have seen it. I've learned so much, and I thought I was good or progressive or had somewhat of a decent understanding towards women and stuff. And then I got married, and I was like, oh, you know, it's like a whole new level, and it's I have a weird kinship but pity for the people that can't see it, because it's beautiful once you see it, once you know it's there, and then once you understand the stuff.
And you don't and I think I don't think you have to ship it. You don't have to ship it. No one is forcing it down your throat. But at the very least, you know, it does make me sad that there are some people sitting there going, oh, it was all manipulation. You know, like, she did that to get rid of him. When at the very least, you have to acknowledge that they do have feelings for each other. If you don't if you don't subscribe to silky romance, fine. But if you're, you know, even if everyone hadn't said, you know, Tom, Sophia, and the writer weren't like, this is romantic, it would be interpreted as a friendship trust.
There's a connection regardless,
and
no matter
it just
what.
makes me a little bit sad that there are people who are so against the idea of this romance that they would go as far as to be like, she hates him, she did that just to stab him as much as she could. Like, no offense, but Sylvie's not emotionally intelligent enough to do that.
Those people need a hug. No, I'm not joking. Those people are like, well, she didn't say yes, so obviously she hates him and wants him to die in the most horrible way possible. And I'm like, are you okay, Connor? Did you have a bad experience at school? Like, do you need a hug? You need some tea or something? I don't know. That's kind of how I interpret it. Is like, you know, because what's funny is on television, like, hyperviolence is not only tolerated but encouraged. But like, genuine emotion is like, what is that? Like, what are you, gay or you know? No, this is people just being people, you know. I don't know. By the way, there's no offense to anyone named Connor. That was literally just the first name that popped into my head. So I apologize to all Connors out there. I feel like Miss Aggie made me do it.
No, the connection was there. I mean, I saw, I guess, you, Taco and Sorry, they saw my video of how I related that moment when he was telling her that, no, I don't want to hurt you. I want you to be okay. That I related that to myself. Like, because to me, I see, like, I see the metaphor of them being it's a thing of self-love. I was talking to one of my friends on TikTok that each she was telling me like that a lot of these shows are basically deal with the topic of like mental or emotional issues, right? Like Wanda with grief, and then Captain America Winter Soldier with PTSD and the racial issues, and then over here we get Loki with his self-love. He has self-esteem issues because he said it. He knows that he feels weak and he feels that he's not worthy, which is why he's always trying to find that validation. Oh, if I'm king, then people will love me, and I know that I'll be great, So he doesn't have that love for himself. He doesn't have that self-esteem for himself. So when he's talking to her, like, listen, I've been there. I don't want to hurt you. I took it up like myself when I applied it to myself. Like, there's been times that I'm like, why am I doing this to myself? Why am I hurting myself like this? I should want myself to be okay. And it's just the same words that he used. And I was like, oh my God. I started crying. I was like, oh, this is too much.
I
He's
really
always
love
pushing
too.
people away, but he
I
can't be
really
alone.
love. I really love too that the line wasn't. He said, "I just want you to be okay," and it wasn't like, "I just want you." Like, I love that distinction. I was worried that they were going to go there, and they didn't, and it just made me so happy because it like showed her that he is like, I do not view you as like something to like as a possession. You are my equal, and we have this deep understanding of each other that no one else could ever possibly have. And I really appreciated that. And like tying it back to Raylo again, that's always how I felt that Ben had viewed at Ray. Like, he never viewed her as inferior to him, or like, oh, she's a girl, so she's not as strong. And he never viewed her as like, I
He was
want.
raised by Leia, so
Right. And
he drinks his respect
yeah.
lemon juice.
And I never really got the vibe that like, I want you as my possession. Like, even when he was like, I want you to rule with me in the galaxy, it wasn't like, I want you to be my queen. It was like, no, I want you to be my equal in this. Like, even as his like emotionally stunted Kylo Ren way.
He was
saying
genuinely
that.
concerned about her feelings, how she was feeling, not how
Right.
he was feeling about her. It
Yeah,
wasn't
and so
about him. It was about her.
I love that it was expressed that way, because it was like true selflessness. And that is when she kind of like faltered for a moment, when she realized like, okay, he does care about me this much and he's not going to stop. Because earlier on the episode, He Who Remains kind of planted that seed, like, why are you trusting this guy? Like, he just wants the throne, right? And so she was thinking, what if he has been manipulating me this whole time? But he proved to her, I think, in that moment, it's like, no, I'm not kidding. I will let you stab me in the neck if it means that you will be okay.
And that to me was the most important, like the most deeply acted moment, because that's what you saw in her face is a realization, he is not tricking me. He truly believes this. And it's so easy to like write people off because, oh, they're just doing this. They're just doing that. So, the hell with them. Screw them. I'll just use them because they're not. But she saw, he's not using me. This is honest. This is truly him. And then she made her decision devoid of that. And I think that acting came across on screen. And I think that was really powerful.
Yeah,
I feel
that.
like when the kiss was impulsive, like she just felt it at the moment and she kissed him. And while she was kissing him, that's when she was like, wait, okay, this is when I have to make
Let go.
And
my
she
choice.
embraced her full Loki.
Yes.
Okay. Oh well. Now I gotta ask. what do we have left? What are we expecting to see going forward, or what do we want to see in other properties as well as season 2? Because we're getting another season. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think this is not Star Wars, right? So like we're not things are going to happen in other material before we get to season 2 of Loki. I did hear this rumor that they did film 12 episodes. I don't know how true that is. Some people were thinking that because of the King Loki scenes that we got in the trailers. I don't know how true that is, though. I think that might have just been a red herring. But yeah, with Marvel, you gotta pay attention to everything else that's going around, and especially because we just opened the multiverse. So there is gonna be other material that comes out before we get Loki season 2. And so that I think does kind of hold back some of the theorizing because we don't know. Maybe we will see these characters popping up in other Marvel stuff, because that is literally what the MCU is. That being said, like I said earlier, I definitely think that Loki and Sylvie are gonna reunite sooner rather than later, because I could be wrong, but I think if Loki learned anything this season, it was that he should not be alone. So if not Mobius, he's gonna have to go find Sylvie. He needs a buddy. And so I think that's gonna get resolved quickly, regardless of who it is. But man, I can't even think about Loki right now because I just want that Spider-Man trailer.
I feel like whatever the new Kang is has already, I guess, cast Sylvie into the new TVA, and he's going to have to find her and convince her of who she is. He's going to have to learn enchantment himself.
Ooh, that's good.
That's good.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm in the boat with Sawyer. Like I'm like, I don't know, because they just announced season 2, but they have 8,000 other projects that they have announced before that. So where is this going to fit in on that timeline? Are we going to have to wait, 2-3 years before we get a second season? Or because it's so timey-wimey, it can kind of exist out of like the normal timeline, that it'll just kind of still be like a more of an isolated story as a whole, but will still affect what happens in the rest of the MCU. Honestly, I have no idea, but I like that theory. It's very Westworldy. I've been like, as Doctor Who-y as the show is, it also has a lot of the same themes as Westworld. So to like reset Sylvie into the TVA totally makes sense for them to do.
Never watched either, so just in case people are saying I copied it. Never watched either.
I honestly don't know what to expect with season 2. I don't know, because like Brooke said, is just there's so many things that are gonna happen with what we're gonna do with the movies coming out and everything. Like, what would season 2 look like? Is the TVA gonna be just in the show, or are we gonna see the TVA in the movies as well somehow? Like, how is it a separate thing, or they're gonna be all intertwined? And another thing is we have the little was it her Ravonna?
Mm-hmm.
Ravonna. How is she gonna fit in it? Because it seemed to me like she is on she said, "Oh, I'm gonna go find free will." Does that mean she wants to go and try to take down whoever the person behind the curtain is, so she could, take over and have her free will?
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but Renslayer is like Kang's romantic partner.
Yeah, that's what I heard too. That she
now it'll depend on the project, but like in the one that actually got me interested in Kang the first time was Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes, which is on Disney Plus. Watch it. It's a great cartoon. It predates the MCU, so the stuff that happens in it is more comic book based. But yeah, he is literally conquering a timeline because he thinks that by doing so he will be able to save her, and she's his motivation for doing this. And now I understand it's a little fridgy and old school comic-y, but that is the thing.
I'm very interested in what he sent her, because she like had asked Miss Minutes for
Yes.
all the files on the beginning of time, and Miss Minutes was like, well, he thought that you would, this would be more useful. And I'm like, okay, well, how is this going to tie in either to season 2 or to like Kang directly? Because if we're thinking about the Kang that we're going to see in Ant-Man, I know in like Ant-Man and the Wasp, there was like the tiny little Chronopolis city that we saw, like that was hinting at Kang showing up. So did he send her like coordinates to that tiny little city in like the quantum realm? Like it seems like he knew her somehow in some lifetime. The way that the vibe that they gave was like, oh yeah, like he thought this would be better for you. Like how else would she have gotten that like kind of position of power in the TVA?
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
I mean, I think all of this is the MCU plans things out years in advance, and I think they've been in this weird holding pattern because of COVID, and they couldn't release stuff when they wanted to release stuff. And there's this weird like holding a water hose effect that's happening. So I don't know. I'm excited to see where we go with all this stuff, because yes, I'm a big comic fan, but they have done a great job of not doing the comics enough to where even the comic fans don't exactly know.
Don't know where it's heading. Yeah,
Right.
That's cool. That's cool. And I like how they incorporate stuff. It was something that I think it was Brick also that said it before, that they didn't introduce He Who Remains as Khan the Conqueror immediately. They just kind of, it was a small intro, so the ones that us that are not comic readers were not all confused and like lost, like who is he, like it was a small, nice, smooth introduction.
Yeah, I saw people complaining, like, why did he take 30 minutes to explain the multiverse? I'm like, because 98% of the MCU fan base has no idea where it comes from or what it is. And his performance was just so amazing that I don't care that it took that long.
Yeah, I know. I needed that explanation because I like to know what's going on,
Right.
Not only that, but I do truly believe that this iteration was not King the Conqueror.
No. Yeah, definitely not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Thank you guys for joining me for this conversation. This has been a lot of fun. I mean, any final thoughts and where we can find y'all and your awesome content and merchandise? We'll go to Tia first.
Okay. Okay, final thoughts. Again, I absolutely loved the show, loved the ending, loved how all the characters progressed. Just little side note there. I saw a lot of people talking about how, oh, that's not my Loki. They changed him so much. Why this, he's so different. I mean, that was the whole point of the show. It was showing
it's called character development.
It was a change. And I also think that for me, the show was not just about Loki's, Tom Hiddleston's Loki. It was all the Lokis, Loki the idea, because that's why we got the other variants talking about their experiences as well, and how they all experience basically the same thing. Every time they try to climb out of that, I'm the bad guy, they were stunted.
Like lobsters.
Yeah. So I absolutely loved the way they handled all of that. I loved it, So, and looking forward to how they're going to entangle, because I have no idea. Like I said, I'm not a comic book reader, so this is completely new territory. At least before with the first part of the MCU, I knew the characters because I grew up with watching shows and stuff like that. But this completely new territory for me, so I'm excited. And you can find me again. My main platform is TikTok. My handle is the same as my name here. It's Star Wars Tia. So thank you for having me, Choco. I appreciate it.
Yes. Thank you so
and
much. And
you guys. Awesome. Brooklyn, sorry.
I gotta ask though, why not like Estrella Wars or?
Oh, because it's a joke. Because like people it's a joke thing when Spanish speaking people, when they try to pronounce Star Wars, is Star Wars.
Okay.
That's how that's basically how a lot of people pronounce it, Star Wars. So like a little inside joke type of thing with like Spanish speaking people.
No, my my wife is Mexican, and I always like sometimes when she says Darth Vader, she says Dart, like it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like the whole
it's a,
pronunciation. It's a joke thing with the
it's just funny.
pronunciation. So Star Wars is Star Wars. So yeah.
And how about you, Sawyer?
Hello. I'm preparing my merchandise advertisement for Brooke right now. Um, um, my little container of goodies.
Oh my goodness.
But yes, I'm Sawyerism on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, all that good stuff. And I'm supposed to be making a TikTok in like half an hour, but I'm already starting to feel the effects of my drink, so maybe not. But yeah.
Awesome, I love it. I have Laura reaching out from. Laura said, I know she's in South America, but you're in Brazil, right? But yeah, in Portuguese they also say "estar."
It's that.
Last but certainly not least, we have Brooke.
Final thoughts. Overall, I very much enjoyed the show. 16-year-old Brooke would be absolutely quaking if she knew that in 2021 there would be a show on that focuses all on Loki, because unpopular opinion, Thor: The Dark World is probably in like my top 10 of favorite movies because of Loki. Anyway, I didn't think that it was going to top Falcon and the Winter Soldier for me, because I really love that show, and the Captain America movies were always my like favorite trilogy of the MCU trilogies. But I was very pleasantly surprised, and overall I'm very satisfied with how it went. Have no idea where it's going to go. But you can find my content mostly on TikTok at b_dazzler. I do lots of Star Wars things, but lately I've been dipping my toes more and more into, yes, Roger, you're correct. I've been dipping my toes more into Marvel stuff, because that's all that my brain worms will let me think about at the moment. And if you would like to check out my Etsy store, I have an Etsy shop called Far Far Away Factory. With Exhibit A.
Really
Sawyer is
it,
probably my top customer for earrings. But
I
I
gotta
do
check
lots
that
of stuff.
out.
And I'll have
Definitely
to. I just got new postcards that I'm very excited about.
Ooh,
That are loaf cats.
Padme.
I
Check
just
that
made a
out.
TikTok where I talked about loaf cats and their bird legs and how you could
Yes,
probably.
I
The
did
chicken
see.
legs. I love it.
I did see that video. It was amazing. But yeah, if you want to get some Star Wars stuff, some Marvel stuff, if you want to
Just
pay
Max
me
Rebo
to
stuff.
paint you things, you can do that.
Darth Vader.
Sorry, you have Max Rebo stuff. I didn't even think that was a thing.
I did. I had them for a while, but I sold out. I should bring them back.
I gotta check
Little
out. I gotta
Max
check it out.
Figures.
Definitely. Yeah.
Also, I've not noticed what you were holding, Tia.
Oh yeah, my I call her La Tuki. She's my little tuka. I got her from Casey Ray on TikTok. She
Oh
did
yeah,
me.
yeah.
Yeah,
Kaisley,
so,
I had her on to talk about Barris, and Kaisley Ray is awesome.
Yeah.
Great
She
cosplays
did
as well.
these on her Etsy, so I had to get it.
Also, Brooke paints things and she's incredible. And my Revan shoes just came in, and she's gonna do a jacket for me. But now I'm kind of thinking I want a silky jacket, but we can talk about it.
Oh, that's on. Yeah, I gotta go check it out. I need to get some stuff.
Yes. Also, if you guys are in the buying mood, this hat that's modeled off of the Bad Batch skull thing, that's on my Etsy store. Also, the shirt.
Oh,
But,
you got that? Hello. You need to advertise more. I didn't even know that.
I haven't advertised it ever. I've been trying to build up a product first. But thank you, everyone, for coming out and joining us. For everyone in the chat, Laura Lang, Roger, Harris Productions, X-Core Gamer Skills, Levi Bond, Lauren,
Jedi Master,
Malik.
Lauren, my love.
I don't know, Geeky Gambit, Brian with the beard, as I like to call him, Bearded Bread Bear Brian, Miss Aggie, Element 7. Man, for a random night, awesome turnout. Love everyone that joined us. This is the best community. I'm going to be expanding more into Marvel stuff. I will be jotting Brooke down for when I cover Dark World. Alien with a Shotgun. Good evening. We're signing off. We're signing off with glorious purpose to go live our lives with the lessons learned from Loki.
Oh, can we get petition going? I need to see more of him somewhere in the movies. I need Loki Gator.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I have to say that if you guys didn't know, most of you know that I'm a scientist. Maybe you didn't know that I'm like specifically a herpetologist. People are calling him Croaky. He's not a crocodile. I don't care how catchy that sounds. He's an alligator.
No, I definitely made sure before
But did
I
you see
started
the
putting
Crocs?
anything, yeah.
Did
That
you see
Loki
the
Gator.
Crocs?
I
I
don't
don't know
care
if they're
about the
real, but
Crocs.
someone
It's an
made a
alligator.
TikTok.
They're different.
They
I
are
dissected
different.
one.
So
They
you
I
look
need to wear
different.
dissected alligator Loki.
you need to wear
Different
a
phases.
Loki, the alligator Loki Croc, and then one of the Lightning McQueen Crocs. And you got Lokius. I just thought of that. I'm gonna make that a TikTok later.
Please do. I would also like to point out that since Sawyer lives in Florida, she has a lot of experience, and probably it's a much bigger deal knowing the difference.
Florida thing, damn.
Although, you know what? Since I've lived here, I have not seen one. Like, I've lived here for 3 years. Every time I used to vacation when I was a kid, I would see them. I have not seen a single alligator since I moved here.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much for joining. I need to think of a Marvel appropriate sign off, but Excelsior.
For all time, always.
For all time, always.